job. Well, that's a little mean.
You got to do what you got to do sometimes.
Dog eat dog universe, even among co-hosts.
All right, buddy. Hey, welcome to PGI. Mike and Tony are enjoying one last day at Saddles together, so I am joined by my great friend and future co-host, Pablo Torre. They clap louder for me. Hey, we begin with the Astros. Dallas Keuchel got lit up by the White Sox last night, giving up 8 runs and 10 hits in 4 innings. Since he returned from the DL, his ERA is 10.50. At the trade deadline, Keuchel was angry the Astros didn't make a move to get better, but the Astros do have the best record and run differential in the American League by far. But Pablo, do the Astros need to move one of their stockpile of prospects to gear up for the postseason?
So if you're Astros GM Jeff Luhnow, I get why you want Justin Verlander, and I understand that the Astros are in good shape by all those analytic measures that you sort of mentioned, but they're in a weird place, Bo, because it's not just that they're a really good team, it's that they've locked up their division so handily. And they've kind of locked up the American League fairly handily. So what they're really doing, and I heard the baseball analyst Joe Sheehan point this out, they're not paying for anything really that they can use in the next 2 months. What they're doing is saying, really optimistically, we're going to make it to a World Series, and this guy, this ace, this hypothetical Verlander is going to help us. But that's a little optimistic. If you're really analytic, as I know these Astros are, you're also thinking to yourself, well, what if we flame out? Like, what if we only get 1 or 2 starts out of Justin Verlander, and then one of our top prospects, whether it's Tucker or Fisher, are just gone now? That seems like a really high premium to pay because you're good.
All right, so here's what the dilemma is, right? If your team is not sure they're going to get in the postseason, you make a move to get a guy like Verlander because you can get in, and then once you get in, anything can happen because baseball's postseason is basically a random championship generator, right? The problem is, if you are already in and you're there comfortably, are you going to make a move knowing that the postseason is a random championship generator? Or do you make the decision, we're going to bolster ourselves to try to do everything we can to account for the uncertainty that will come? My question is, do they need a starter or do they need bullpen help? Because their bullpen has been what's not that good. And then once you get to the postseason, yeah, you want to have great starters, but we saw this, especially like with Kansas City a couple of years ago. It doesn't matter how long the dudes pitch as long as you got dudes that can pitch. And if you got a bunch of bullpen arms, throw a starter out there for 4. Bring somebody else in for 2 and a third, and then you roll from there.
I think that is part of their strategy. I think Francisco Liriano, who they got at the trade deadline, is going to help in that way. But one of the things that I'm just generally excited to support is the notion of a general manager that is thinking beyond this season, even potentially thinking beyond 2 seasons. We make fun of Danny Ainge, rightfully so, in the NBA because he hoards these prospects and assets and doesn't do anything with them. We've similarly clowned Sam Hinkie, and I'm a trust the process guy. You know that. You are frowning at me because I know that you know that. But one of the things that we have too little of is guys who are the opposite of Billy King when he was running the Nets. Guys who are looking at the long time horizon.
Right, but the other side of it is few things are more overrated than baseball prospects, which can turn into anything, good and bad.
But as for a baseball dispute of a different kind, umpire Joe West has been suspended 3 games for his comments about Adrian Beltre. When USA Today asked Cowboy Joe to name the biggest complainer in the majors, he named Beltre, saying, quote, "Every pitch you call that's a strike," he says, "whoa, whoa, whoa." I told him, "You may be a great ball player, but you're the worst umpire in the league. You stink," end quote. The umpires union claims West was joking, but Bomani, did the league take all of this a little too serious?
Okay, I need to start this by saying I don't really do baseball the way I used to do baseball, right? But I'm 36, I'm almost 37, and I grew up loving baseball. And I cannot believe that I'm being put in a position where I got to defend Joe West. Now, keep in mind that Joe West has been umpiring for so long that he worked through Tim McCarver out of a game, and not from the broadcast booth, from the field. But it seems so obvious here that he was joking, right? And so of all the things that we could pile on Joe West for, make you mad enough to throw baseball bats at him like Andre Dawson did one time, this was so obviously a joke. And while I understand you can't play around with the idea that your umpires are not impartial, this wasn't the place to do it.
I have long advocated for robot referees, and I have done so because we live in a world, I thought, that valued accuracy. But I'm here to retract that philosophy because I have seen the light, and we are not here for accuracy. We're here for theatrics. We're here for the human element. And if we are honest about that, I will get on this train and defend Joe West. Because if we're not here to have umpires making obnoxiously loud strike calls, and if we're not here to have umpires cursing at players on the field, what about the human element is so human? Like, this is the fun of baseball. If we're going to go all in on the theatrics, human element thing, this is what we're asking for.
Our good buddy Bob Ryan is one of the best people to talk to about this. Like, he loves Joey Crawford in the NBA because he misses when officials had personalities and they were part of things. And I will admit, I am willing to trade a smidgen of accuracy if it makes the game more fun. Getting things more right rarely makes them more entertaining. It does on occasion, but really not that often. And I have to say, baseball is made better by hating Joe West.
That's right.
But this is not the time to hate Joe West. This is the time to like Joe West because he said something funny. The other time to like Joe West, you may not know this, is when he sings at like the Grand Ole Opry because Cowboy has sung at the Grand Ole Opry.
That sounds like a lot. But I will say, look, we can view umpires as these impartial people, as Supreme Court justices, but I think we both agree it's more fun if they're kind of like the local sheriff. They're guys to be charmed. They're guys to be infuriated. They're guys who are there to inject their personality. There's an umpire, Ken Kaiser, who just died yesterday, actually. And one of the things he was beloved for was feuding with someone like Eddie Murray, was turning his hat around on Earl Weaver. Like, that's the stuff of baseball legend that differentiates
But we don't even have to turn it up that much on this because the issue was that was just a joke.
Also that.
All right. The Great White Hype continues, but with quite the plot twist. Ooh. Here is Floyd Mayweather on Floyd Mayweather. I'm not the same fighter I was 2 years ago. I'm not the fighter I was 5 years ago. I lost a step. That was Floyd's response to those who think Conor McGregor has no chance against the undefeated boxer. Pablo, are you buying this? Is this enough to make you believe McGregor, maybe, just maybe, could beat Mayweather?
No one sells a fight better than Floyd Mayweather, or I should say no one had sold a fight better than Floyd Mayweather, because his whole deal was that he was selling you on the opportunity to root for his destruction. I don't buy this. I don't buy this at all. This sounds to me like Floyd Mayweather is one of those old carnies who's trying to convince you that this ring toss game, which you lost at before and you lost at 10 times in a row, well, now the rings are old and rusty, and so it's a little bit wider, and the bottles, they're kind of slicked up now, so it's easier. And hey, I know you didn't like it before, but you're going to like this version now. I have one rule when it comes to carnies. Do not trust them. And Floyd Mayweather sounds a lot like one.
This is the tricky part of this charade that they're pulling now, because now we are at the point where you have to convince people that McGregor actually has a chance. And Malignaggi is not doing a great job of selling this point, so now Floyd has to do it. But Floyd can't do it by selling how good McGregor is. He's not over there. He has to sell, actually, I'm Floyd Mayweather, and I'm humble enough to tell you that I'm actually not that good as a fighter right now. So, no, we are not buying this. But did you notice that just in case trying to make this fight compelling in that way did not work, Floyd threw another piece of red meat out there when he said that he is doing this for black people all over the world.
Oh.
Yes, because they went back to the tried and true, right? And even as we tried to get into a wee bit of analysis of boxing or strategy or anything like that, he threw that out there just in case you needed something else to get you to the fight, because they know damn well was getting people to that fight, and it ain't anything specific or technical about fighting.
Yes, he can use any cause he can get. The American flag, I'm sure, will also be prominently featured in this. But it's also fascinating because in his process of self-owning himself, one of the things that he's pointed out is he's going to go toe-to-toe. That's never been what Floyd Mayweather's actually good at. So if you actually fear Conor McGregor, why would you possibly do the thing you're least comfortable doing? That just seems like a massive tell. And for a guy who, again, we've talked about this, who became famous at the height of the recession. Why? Because he was taunting everybody. You can't be like this. To hear him say, I'm not as good as I used to be, this is depressing on every level.
Okay, but here's the thing. Here's McGregor's, I think, best chance to win this fight, right? You ever play spades with somebody who doesn't know how to play spades? Like, if you know
I'm that person who doesn't know how to play spades.
But if you know how to play spades and you play with somebody who does not know how to play spades, they're going to do all kinds of awkward things that you don't know how to play off of, and you don't know how to tell what cards they have because they don't know what to do. That is McGregor's best chance, is to throw out a queen when nobody expects it, and somehow it knocks Floyd Mayweather out. Like, that's the only chance that he has here, and we all know this. We're all in it for the fight party. So, no, I am not buying what they are selling. I am buying that I'll go to somebody's fight party, because I ain't paying for this.
I just like the idea that Floyd was somewhere watching this Paulie Malignaggi interview and thinking to himself, all right, it's time to debase myself. This is the only move I have left. But speaking of cruising through competition, in the NBA, it's concerned that the number of teams resting healthy stars in the regular season is a problem. So this week, the league sent a memo announcing an aggressive reduction in the number of back-to-backs and single-game road trips. It's also advising teams to not rest multiple stars on the same night and to not rest them at home. So, Bo, is this effort going to help solve the problem of coaches resting these stars?
What is advise? Right? Where they say, we are going to advise you to not do these things. What is advise? Like, what is on the other side of advise if there's not something clearly enumerated that says there's some penalty for doing that, which they'll never be able to do because there's too much gray area in this. This is a start. It's not going to, quote, unquote, solve the problem, because there's always going to be some coach that decides, you know what, they need even more rest. But it is a start to, I think, help alleviate what that is. And I think that there is a bit of a middle ground. I would also say, Basketball fans are accustomed to the idea that just because you buy a ticket, you get to see this person. We don't have this standard necessarily across all the sports. In hockey, you'll have goaltenders who do not play every now and then. It's not that much, but every now and then. Baseball, you only get the number one starter every 5 days. You're rolling the dice when you buy tickets all the time. So I think that there's going to be some meeting in the middle that they can do better with this, and the schedule will then, in fact, help. But you're still going to have some days where you're thinking you're getting LeBron and you're not.
It helps because rest, I think, is an image problem that is trying to address a scientific problem. The image problem is that people are wildly unsympathetic to the words DNP rest in their box score. They just don't see athletes as people who need anything beyond what we believe that they deserve, which is as little as possible when it comes to rest and relaxation. But the issue really is science, and our colleague Tom Haberstroh has been as good about this topic as anyone in terms of reporting, and it's pretty clear that 82 games is just way too many. I don't know if fans are just uncomfortable with the idea of that number changing, but in terms of the product, there's the concern, right? It's not we're empathetic to these millionaire athletes. It's we just want to see these millionaire athletes in the playoffs when it matters. And I don't think this is going to change that fundamental problem of a coach realizing 82 is too much. In fact, to your point about how do teams get around this, I think we're going to see something interesting. We have seen DNP rest. Now we're going to see DNP toe. DNP foot, DNP neck, whatever it takes.
Hold on.
Don't have to be transparent about it.
It's the NBA. Flu-like symptoms.
That's right.
That is their favorite. When you see to throw something out there, there is flu-like symptoms. Now, what I also think you might wind up having here is, say, the Cavs, if Kyrie Irving were to still play for them, right? Just put it as hypothetical. Or make it the Warriors, because those guys will be together. Maybe one night you don't see Klay Thompson. Maybe one night you don't see Steph Curry. Maybe one night you don't see Kevin Durant. But I do think a step there is the advisement. Don't sit them all out on the same game. I think there's something to be said for that, and I think it's fair for the league to say, could you do this when these games are off Broadway, please? Not when we're on live television on Sunday on ABC. Those are the things I think the league is probably most concerned with, and this will help with that.
And that's where Adam Silver, he has this velvet glove kind of thing. But inside of that velvet glove, because he is the man who served as David Stern's lieutenant, tends to be an iron fist. So that, I think, is going to happen behind the scenes. And also, the big solution to all of this is still legalize gambling. Give us all a reason to care about these games as viewers, and therefore we don't have to care about it as much as discerning consumers.
Makes it hard to bet if you don't know who's playing. But hey, man, we're taking a break. But when we come back, the Colts say they have no timeline for Andrew Luck's return. How concerned should they be?
And what should we read into LeBron's latest tweet?
Oh, we're doing that again.
I mean, he tweeted, and therefore we must talk about it. This is how our job works, it turns out.
And he's that guy.
He is that guy.
What guy?
That guy. Yeah.
Pardon the Interruption is brought to you by Dr. Scholl's Pain Relieving Orthotics and Powerade. Fuel that power through.
We've got some blanks that need filling on. What's the word? Producer, what you got?
The Colts should feel blank about Andrew Luck.
All right, Andrew Luck will not necessarily be starting the season as starting quarterback. There is a chance that Scott Tolzien will be the man that starts as they're waiting for Luck to return from his shoulder surgery. And the Colts should be ashamed. They should be absolutely ashamed at the situation that they're in. This is year 6 with Andrew Luck, right? I don't know if he's been as good as we expected coming out of Stanford. However, he's been good enough to where they should have protected him better and been in a much better situation than they're in right now, which is whatever your plan was for his shoulder, it should have been to guarantee he was ready for week 1. How is that not guaranteed?
They should be fatalistic about this. And it's not because of the recovery, because patience is good for Andrew Luck. When he was getting shot up with painkillers in that shoulder before every game, he was less accurate than Johnny Manziel in terms of throwing the football. And when he recovered, he was obviously significantly better, one of the most accurate people in the league. But the bad news, and the reason they should be fatalistic, is because when Chuck Pagano is your coach, and you are doing that power football, power running thing, and your offensive line is terrible, it's pretty much guaranteed he's going to get hurt again.
Ooh, fatalistic. It's going to be a polysyllabic version of what's the word.
Absolutely.
More words, producer.
It's blank that LeBron called Los Angeles home in a tweet.
I am going to say it is ominous that he is calling it home. First of all, when you come back to Cleveland, the whole thing is home, home, home. I want to go home, and then you call someplace home. People are going to wonder if you still want to go home, especially when home's got better weather and movie studios and the lights. I've said this about LeBron for the prospects of what happens in 2018. The last couple times we've been through this, you heard those little whispers about him leaving, and we all just kind of dismissed him. This time, I think people across the board are taking them a little bit more seriously. Not many people buy $20 million homes for them not to be home. It feels like that, maybe.
I am assuming that LeBron James is going to be playing basketball in Los Angeles very soon. But this is sub-generous because, A, he is subtweeting the entirety of the Midwestern region of the United States while he literally has a house in Brentwood, as aforementioned. But it's also generous because, look, we need stuff to talk about. We really do. It's a crazy world right now. We're mostly thinking about nuclear weapons and stuff. So LeBron James being generous and giving us a news story out of whole cloth. Like, I don't think he's oblivious to what this means. I just think he's the type of guy to go ahead with it anyway. And for sports media types, I thank you for your generosity.
The best thing of him being so passive-aggressive is it allows us to acknowledge he's passive-aggressive and make something out of anything that he does.
Absolutely.
Producer, what's now?
Billy Hamilton made a blank catch.
All right, I want you guys to take a look at Billy Hamilton, fastest man in Major League Baseball. Look at this. Over the shoulder, up the wall, did not injure himself in the process. Ken Griffey Jr. once did something very similar, but I think he broke his arm, thereby making this one a bit more impressive. That is an insane catch. The catch was insane for Billy Hamilton. That also looks painful.
That does. That does. I'm going to go with Sweden. He made a Sweden catch because here, listen to this. He overran that ball, and then he kicked the fence, and then he came back and caught it. He didn't have to do that. That was some brilliance enabled by a little bit of incompetence. And in fact, the story of artificial sweetener, here's going to blow your mind. Sweetener was discovered through the same process. Artificial sweetener was discovered when a chemist, forgot to wash his fingers, and he ate some bread, and the bread was sweet, and he discovered sweetener. Such is the story of Billy Hamilton.
What did you just do to that catch?
I just taught a lot of people about the history of chemistry.
What did you just do to that catch?
Look, it was brilliant, but it was brilliant because it didn't have to be.
Ooh, that's some inadvertent salt thrown on Billy Hamilton.
Heat in that take.
We got one more of these.
Last one. The Nuggets' new jerseys are blank.
I am going with meh. Have you seen these? The Nuggets. Can we get a look at the Nuggets jerseys, please? They're real meh. I mean, there's nothing wrong with them. There's also nothing right, although it was not until this moment that I realized that they were sponsored by Western Union, and let's just say that is not a blue blood move, right? Like that right there is not, no. I understand somebody's got to drive the Dollar General car in NASCAR, but it doesn't always have to be you. I was hoping that they would have a sponsor along the lines of something more in line with the local economy.
Yes, likewise. This is why this is a Fugazi jersey. It is a Fugazi jersey because the great Nuggets design was the rainbow and the mountains and that skyline, and I want more of that. This feels like a Fugazi Pacers jersey. This feels like the Hydrox to the Pacers Oreo. If Hydrox was actually this bad. Hydrox is actually pretty good. But this is a disappointment. This is a disappointment, and yes, that Western Union thing, it's only a couple of notches above Fit T, impossible advertisers that an NBA team might want to embrace.
I have to say, I like the light blue. Like, the light blue and gold is a good look. I feel like going to Navy just doesn't work the same way. I feel like they have something going a little bit better than that. They have so much potential with those.
Either powder blue or organic green.
Something told me you were going to say that.
I had to.
That's it. Let's take one last break and still to come. Steve Spurrier takes a shot at LSU.
And I will be asked to pick a winner of the PGA Championship, a tournament I will now research heavily during this commercial break.
This week, huh?
Turns out it is. They talk about golf a lot on this program.
Yeah. Generational.
Yeah.
It's the Eat and Play combo only at Dave & Buster's.
Is brought to you by Firestone Complete Auto Care. Keep your car running newer, longer.
Happy time. Happy birthday to Derek Fisher, who turns 43. Fisher is a 5-time NBA champion who was seen as a coach on the floor type. Then he became the coach. The coach who might be dating your girlfriend, or the coach who might start dating his teammate's former ex. This, not his lackluster record with the Knicks, is why he'll probably never coach in the NBA again. Because the NBA is a lot like high school, kids.
Two favorite Derek Fisher references. One, the song 30 Hours by Kanye. Two, the fact that Michelle Roberts had a black and white print of him in her office.
Who had that made? All right. Happy anniversary to Jesse Owens. 81 years ago, Owens became the first American Olympian to win 4 gold medals. This stands out because Owens did it in the face of Adolf Hitler. But he wasn't welcome at the White House upon his return and eventually ran against horses to make money. Sadly, the man who may have gotten the least from his feet was Owens himself.
It is insane that the man who, quote, single-handedly crushed Hitler's myth of Aryan supremacy could not make money later on in life. His quote, of course, you can't eat 4 gold medals.
Yikes. Happy trails to Johan Camargo. The Braves rookie shortstop was placed on the 10-day disabled list with a bone bruise on his knee, which he suffered trying not to step on the baseline. You hate to laugh at the dude, but it's hard to avoid the irony of injuring oneself while trying to avoid bad luck. Say so all laugh, Pablo.
I got nothing for you because this is the same sport where Jason Giambi is wearing a gold thong for good luck, and this kind of feels a part of that.
Didn't see you going in that direction. No errors today. Let's hit to the big finish. Tiger Woods will plead guilty to reckless driving, but will enter a diversion program. Your thoughts?
He's avoiding physical prison, which is good. I root for him, but he is imprisoned forever as a meme. The Falcons signed Devonta Freeman for $22 million guaranteed. Is that a big deal?
Kind of a big deal to think about the punishment running backs take, and still $22 million guaranteed is all you get. CeCe Sabathia left last night's game after 3 innings with a knee injury. Big concern for the Yankees?
He's struggled his last 3 starts. They're 13-6 with him, but the big problem is Aaron Judge hitting sub-200 on fastballs in the second half. Steve Spurrier said, quote, "You can have great players and still not win games." You LSU fans know about that. Is that a low blow?
I mean, it's not like Les Miles left there because he retired and they gave him a parade on the way out. No, I mean, they fully understand that. Last one, PGA Championship begins tomorrow. Who you got?
Got a half Filipino brother, Jason Day.
There we
Favorite
go.
guy who can't stand up in his half Filipino.
We're out of time. Thanks for watching. I'm Bomani Jones.
And I'm Pablo Torre. PTI is off the next 2 days. We're back on Monday with Kornheiser and Wilbach.
Or really?
Or will they be back?